3 after going with a boost. Or maybe he's already gone from 0 to 1, and he's now going from 1 to 2 with that face down counterblast.
Did we see a Ururu yet? We didn't see a Ururu
I
yet.
think it's still in the drop zone, so it's not in the bind. I think that's a Nabu that he bound earlier. So yeah, he's.
What I think has happened is that he called an Enterana to the Force 2 columns because there wasn't a cat in the previous turn, and we know he had an Enterana in his hand because he drove checked that last turn together with the Grade 2 Alu. So I think he might have used the counterless for the draw, and then used the other one is Time Leap with the Vanguard skill, which is a which is free of counterblast.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe then he's only going for 3 attacks this turn, and just again trying to plus. The Enterana is a +2. He's got the Soul Blast 1, which I assume he then used to leap into something else. Maybe the Uluru came out from the LL and then just got cooled over or something. But no, I think, because to countercharge the Uluru would be in the bind zone. So yeah, he just hasn't gone for the Uluru this turn. He's instead either gone for the Alol to set up his bind, or gone for the Ilul just to be able to go into... Okay, so he's actually using the free leap of LL to go from Ilul into the Nabu, which is also a nice +1. So I think this works out as well. He's only going for 4 attacks, nothing too insane, just trying to recoup his hand, but no triggers coming in. That's not a lot of shield he's got access to. And I think, especially if Kai takes 1 or 2 damage, he could easily run into a big Night Rose time going forward.
So for a lot of your viewers at home, if you might not be aware, the Gear Cat, that is a booster in the back row, does happen to have a skill when it's boosted. For every card that's bound, it gets +1k. So that now is a little bit of a larger column. It's going to be 15k shield here.
Yep, and we saw earlier there that Kai was using Pat to pull itself out of the drop zone to be able to guard. It's going to give him a lot of survivability this turn, although I will mention that one of the other strengths of Beatrice is the fact that it gives all your ghosty rear guards intercept. And Kai actually put himself in a position where he had no rear guards during his opponent's turn. So even though he got a lot of plussing, he actually didn't have that much defensive capability he's access to. He starts the turn with 5 cards in hand, which is a healthy amount. But now he has to decide, do I want to re-ride Night Rose and go for push? Or do I want to spend another turn or 2 on Beatrice, build up my drop zone, find my pieces, get some, push my opponent to 2 or 3 damage, and then try to close out the game from there? Or is he just going to, go for it this turn and just try and 1 to 6?
I think he has to. It is a tough decision because I feel like if Kain is going to push Ryan now and give him free counterblast, he might put himself in a position where he cannot survive the onslaught, because Ryan now has essentially the entire Steam Maiden combo on full lockdown. He has the Grade 1 in bind, he has the Grade 0 in bind, he has the Grade 2, and I believe also the Grade 3 in drop zone, so he can set up everything by next turn, and the only thing he needs right now is the counterblast. That's the only thing Ryan is missing, is the counterblast to do everything that he needs to do.
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen the second copy of the Grade 3 LL in rotation or not, but
he wrote the second on the Vanguard. That's why we have 2 force markers. And I assume...
Right, did he Soul Blast it?
I think he might already Soul Blast it last turn, but I'm not sure, because the stream cut out, of course.
Right, yeah. Because, it's actually pretty hard for that deck to Soul Blast outside of, Enterana. So we'll see if he can recycle that. Down comes the Negrabone for Kai to pull out, I assume, a Skull Dragon.
I would say
a Ghost Ship.
A Columbard here. So he can either send another piece that he might need or bring out Ghost Ship. I think he wants to link some attacks here. So he can send Negrabone to drop zone or some other piece that he could possibly use. But I think it's more likely a Negrabone. Yeah. And then he could get Ghost Ship and then Ghost Ship. So he can farm here if he wants to.
The only slight concern I have is that Columbard is named once per turn. So now for him to get the 4 Skull Dragon attack that he needs to do this turn, he now needs to Soul Blast that Beatrice or get a second Beatrice into the drop zone somehow. But I don't know if you guys missed that just now, but we had some results from the other half of the top 8 tables. 2 of the other top 4 games are already resolved, and we had what looks like to be Dave winning his top 8 game, and Go won his top 8 game. So we've got definitely at least 2 more Maidens in top 4. Yep, there you go. Go versus Remy. So Maidens beating out Ange, and Dave beating out Ilya. So yeah, he's going to mill the second Negrabone with a Columbard. And then I assume this column bug will pull out the Skull Dragon. And I guess just setting up the Negro Bone for next turn. Like I said, adding the Protect marker does help because as that Vanguard LO column from Ryan gets bigger and bigger, the Protect markers will make it easier and easier to guard, which means that Kai can spend less time focusing on farming up for defense and more time focusing on actually winning the game.
Not wrong whatsoever. So he's currently considering what he wants to call here. Does he go for the Skull Dragon play, or does he try to farm some cards? I'm a fan of farming. I'm a fan of going for Ghost Ship and hedging your bets between both. Yeah.
I think that's fair as well. That's what he's choosing to do. I will mention, though, having looked at his drop zone,
Mm-hmm.
Kai does not have a lot of triggers in rotation.
No, not at all. And another turn of almost nothing in drop zone. How does he do it?
I think that we've seen 5 triggers from Kai. There's the 1 crit in the drop zone, 3 crits in the drop zone, 1 draw, 1 heal, 2 draws in damage. There's Kai's not playing that many crits, but if I'm on Ryan's side, I'm thinking, man, there's still a few crits left in his deck. I'm pretty scared of this.
Yeah, it is. It's a very scary situation because now Kai can kind of make a half measure with this now. So he can possibly go with a top end of a Skull Dragon on the end and give it the critical trigger that he might have gotten from his drive checks.
Yeah, there's 2 crits out and there's 3 crits left because he's playing 7 draw, 5 crit.
Yeah.
That is definitely something. Out comes the Jesse,
Mhm.
retiring the 2 bodies he used for Navigator. I like this a lot. Jesse still hits 19, which is not threatening, but annoying to deal with. Ryan has, that we know of, no triggers in his hand to reasonably guard these with. So he might just guard the Jesse, guard the attacks that he can, and then deal with these colossal Skull Dragons that will come out eventually.
So once for 19, the Jesse comes in. The Ghost Ship right now is going to be for 29. Since the skill of Night Rose herself give all units you're boosting and attacking with plus 5k. And after the end of battle, they do retire themselves. 10k shield, making 23. Ryan will. So now it's going to counter charge 1 from the Jesse skill effect. If you haven't counter charged this turn, you do get a counter charge 1. Attacking for 29. Ryan could take this and hope to hit a defensive trigger, which does make the rest of the attacks a whole lot easier to guard here.
It's worth mentioning as well that Ryan's guarding really aggressively here. He's trying to maybe bank on defensive triggers or something for later turns, but again, Night Rose being able to gain 10k herself is going to make this column reasonably threatening to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And
the whole entire column itself gets plus 15, so this is going to be very tough.
We did see the critical coming down on Ryan's side, which is very fortunate for him to guard these attacks, because it looks like Kyle is going to go maybe for 1 Skull Dragon play in this turn.
Yeah, he could possibly go for a Skull Dragon just to get a confirmed hit, because that's going to be over 50k attack anyway, so that's almost impossible to deal with. So if he also gets a critical trigger there, that could push Ryan to 4, which is relatively dangerous, I would think. But we'll see what he does.
And again, like I keep saying, the magic damage numbers for Steam Maiden are 0 and 3, because on 3, they'll have 2 open damage, that's 2 leaps, 1 free leap from going Uluru into 1, so that's only 4 attacks total instead of the full 5 or 6. We have there an update from Table 2, Mark 1, WCC Hakase, also on Maiden, has beaten Teo on Leopold, so we are currently 3 out of 4 Steam Maidens into the top 4. So suddenly, all the hopes rest on Kai to be the Maiden Slayer. And I think it's looking pretty good. Ryan does have the Uluru for a 2 to pass, which Kai does not break. But he finds another draw, which is another PG, which is very, very useful. Ghost Ship comes in for another draw. So Kai there, evening out the damage, but also pulling really far ahead in the hand advantage race.
It's going to be for 39, but that makes him 43. It's going to draw a card again. And now this is just going to be huge. This is going to be close to 52 or 60k power. It's going to put him on 3.
Yeah, not that many cards in hand. Kai sitting on 8, maybe 9 with a protect marker. Ryan's only got total, 5 maybe? Or 6. Yeah. The crit comes in is also not what you want to see there. You want to be dry checking those and get pressure on the board, but like I said, now that Ryan's stuck at 3, he can go from Ill's effect, Counterblast to go from 1 to 2. Then Al's effect, Counterblast to go from 2 to 3. Swing with the 3. And then LL to go from 0 to 1 with the Uluru, which will then countercharge. And then he can only go from 1 to 2. So there's a little bit of a cap on how much pressure Ryan has. But his bind zone's getting huger and huger, which means those gear cats in the back row are going to become more and more threatening, as is the Vanguard column. So all those PGs that Klein's adding to hand suddenly are looking really good right about now.
Also, this Reinnovate wing basically fixed everything that we just discussed for last turn. He just able to Soul Blast the Greed for Uluru now. He bound the Greed to on the field as well. So Ryan has now literally every piece he can ask for. And now the grade 3 on the side column is also a gigantic beater, as that column gets +2 for every card in the bind zone. And currently I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards in bind, which is quite significant.
Yep.
And the
so
onus is now. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a 33k column because the cat gets 11, becoming 19, and then LL gets 11, becoming 24. So yeah, that's definitely going to be something to deal with. He's actually going to call over it with an Enterana. I guess Soul Blasting 1 to get a little bit more plus. Again, his hand is looking really low because he's been guarding so aggressively. And he's just going to deck thin for this last cat, I think, before he sets up for the Uluru combo. I do like this.
I like it as well. But one thing to keep in mind, though, is that he needs to finish it this turn. Because next turn, it's going to be a quad Skull Dragon play. Everything is also set up for Kai as well. Guarding the Vanguard, guarding Ryan's Vanguard will be a high priority as well, since that's going to be also coming in for huge amount of power too. It's going to be also close to like 50 or 60k as well. And the pressure that the rest of these units are going to be facing, plus the extra added advantage. If Ryan hits a crit here, this can spell disaster.
Yep, definitely. But at the same time, if Ryan doesn't hit a crit here, I think he's now suddenly staring down the barrel of a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to come in with a 25k Uluru. There's 1 card to guard. Free leap into the Illol. Standard combo. You've seen this all before. The question is, can Kai stay to like only on 4 or 5? He's got a lot of cards now. We know there's 2 PGs, so it's definitely not within the realm of impossible. Bale coming in there? Or no, that's Chappie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Chappie. It's going to be getting extra shield for how many cards are in the drop zone, so that's a 1-card guard.
Yep, very effective. And the question is, I think we saw that Ryan drove check 1 PG last turn, so he's good against 1 Skull Dragon, but what's he going to do against the other 3? So I think Ryan's drive checks here matter in more ways than one. Can he find his last PG? Can he find whatever else he needs to survive?
Well, that's quite interesting that he doesn't decide to go for the main multi-tech play. He decides that, no, aggression is not what I need right now. I just need more and more draw power. I need more cards in hand.
Yeah, which I think is very smart because, like I mentioned, one of the problems with 3, one of the reasons that 3 damage is the choke point for Steam Maidens is because that you commit to your full combo, and your full combo is not 100% effective. It's only 4 attacks, not 5, and then you're left with nothing, and your opponent can just deny you until they have crit pressure. So here, by drawing a bunch of cards, he leaves himself 1 counterblast open to play the game next turn with the countercharge from the Uluru, while still also being able to guard as aggressively as he's been doing up until now. Nice crit coming down there. That is exactly what he needs. And Kai's suddenly down to 5 cards in hand, and overtime has just been called by the judges. So this is turn 0. And right now, damage is tied, so we will be going to sudden death. There is no double loss in top 8. But one thing I want to mention, JJ, you say that Ryan's going to go for the draw card strategy here. Obviously, now that we're in overtime, there's no threat of it. But at the same time, it's kind of concerning that maybe he might deck out.
There is a possibility since his cards in his deck is relatively low, but that actually also makes it a whole lot more scarier for Kai as well. Since Kai is then going to have over 72k power worth of lanes, and he also does have Negrabone, so decking out isn't really in for the cards as long as he has 2 to 3 cards in his hand and enough combo pieces to work with. We haven't seen a whole lot of triggers either. And so the chances of him hitting some heal triggers here are also pretty likely. So that also becomes like a big power, a big factor in this game as well.
Yeah, I think that was 27 or 32 I counted in his drop zone. So
Mhm.
definitely going to be some pretty effectively unguardable dragons coming in next turn, unless Ryan closes this out. And I've just been told that we are giving a slight time extension for that minor delay there on the stream. So overtime, that is actually not overtime. My apologies. We have a few extra minutes, which Kai can use to figure out, does he want to take that damage and risk dealing with the damage comparison at the end of turn 3? Or can maybe Kai push for that last multi-Skull Dragon combo? The PG is going to come in there.
Discarding Damien. That can still turn 1, 2.
Ooh, that's a
Oh,
good
that's
card to have.
big.
Uluru is huge. I think if he has a heal, we know that there's an Uluru grade 4 in Ryan's drop zone. If he has a heal in hand, so he can double Uluru going in like on a single Skull Dragon, that might be enough to actually guard one, maybe. The second
I
Entrana is not as fruitful,
Mhm.
but no triggers means that he's a bit more likely to drive check a defense, damage check a defensive. So we'll see what this does.
So Kai effectively has his hand back into his hand again because he had, I think, at the end of his last turn, maybe 6 or 7 cards, and I think it's close to back to 5 or 6 in hand again. So
Yep.
he's just going to be in a situation where he can kind of just dictate the pace of the game as he sees fit.
It looks like both players are on less than 10 cards in deck, but as you mentioned, on one hand, Kai does have Negrobone, but on the other hand, Ryan has more pressure. So this is definitely becoming a battle of attrition.
I mean, also
And-
thing to keep in mind, Ryan does also have Ulurus, so he can send back triggers to the bottom of his deck as well. So both players have options to refill the deck a bit. Only in Kai's case, it's just a normal unit, and Ryan can send back triggers. So once we get to the last cards in deck, this could be dangerous.
Yep, Kai there going for a little bit more filtering with the Columbard, risking the deck out just to compress for triggers. We'll see how this works for him. 6 cards left in deck, so he'll be down to 4 after this turn. I don't remember if we counted Ryan's, but I think Ryan was only on like 8 or 9, so he's a little bit ahead for now, but it's definitely looking good. I think now is where we're going to see the double Skull Dragon. There's one. He's actually going to call over the Columbard because he wants it in his drop zone, which I like a lot. It gives an extra little bit of power. So that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 32 cards in the drop zone. So that's plus 64. So that's 76k on that Skull Dragon coming in.
Negrobone
Minus 2 to Negrobone. So it's going to be 70 or plus minus 1. So 72. But then the Negrobone can pull out a second Skull Dragon, which is, still 70 plus is still definitely like what, two Uluru grade 4s and then some.
Yeah, you're not going to guard these Skull Dragons. You're going to take these.
Definitely, and there's like a lot of them still coming as well. Wow. This is going to be frightening.
The other Negrobone coming in.
I think he's taking a Chappie here, so he becomes a 10k booster.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Now all of his columns are threatening. The question is, I think he only has 1 soul though, so I don't know if he can do double. Oh no, he only needs 1 soul for the Beatrice double Skull Dragon. So yeah, everything's okay here. Just doing a quick trigger count, and I think we saw him guard with a crit last turn. So I think there's still at least 1 left in the deck. I think there's 1 heal left in the deck, but I think
possibly
we're all
like
out
1 or
draws.
2 draws.
Yeah. I think there's 2 draw PGs out. 1's in the damage, 1's in the drop. I think 1's in the hand because unless he used the 1 in the hand already, and that's the 1 in the drop. But again, even if he drive checks the draw, he's still not at mega risk of decking out quite yet. All right, Ryan, how many PGs do you have?
All right, friend.
Remember, this is overtime now, so
Oh,
there's the first damage. Draw is nice.
The draw is nice for him, but it's not really too relevant to Kai because these are still PG or or vacate the premises.
And again, every piece of damage that Ryan takes here is 1 less card he can draw, which is 1 card closer he gets to decking out. So here's the Night Rose combo, making a Beatrice, Soul Blast 1. Out comes the other Skull Dragon. Ryan actually can't afford not only can he not afford to take any more damage, But even if he healed on a 6 damage here, he won't be able to attack because he'll draw for turn and then deck out on drive checks. So yeah, everything here needs to be guarded, or he needs to at least have double PG, which is still asking for quite a lot.
I'm gonna assume Ryan is gonna put that on the bottom of the deck to give him the option to attack next turn. So here he's able to replenish his deck a little bit, but the question is it going to be enough? Because I think Ryan either has a Miracle Hunt and has 2 PGs left in his hand, or he's hoping that the top card of his deck is at least a heal that he can blank one of the Skull Dragons here.
Yeah, because Uruhu herself right now is like 25 extra shield plus the 10k bonus that he got from the defensive trigger, which was pretty big. The Vanguard swing from Kai is still 22 on its own, 32, 40, I think 47, but I might be wrong. I'm possibly wrong.
I think it's 37 because Chappie gets plus 10, so it's a 15k booster to the 22. So the defensive plus the Uluru on its own was just a 2 to pass, and Ryan there is just making it a no pass because he knows how compressed Kai is.
Oh, but the Night Rose also gives plus 5k to the Chappie extra too as well.
Right, yeah, so it'd be 42. But no triggers coming in, so Ryan there feeling very grateful. He does, I think, still needs a 6 damage heal out of these Skull Dragons, unless he has double PG.
There's one!
He does.
Oh no, he don't... I see.
We have the second.
I think that's
we have the second. Okay, so Ryan lives to see another day.
And he has just enough cards in his deck that he can draw and attack with the Vanguard and not deck out.
Exactly. So the heal on the bottom is not going to be drive checked, but this is, I think, now the last turn. Ryan needs to either win the game here, or he's either going to lose the deck out or lose the damage comparison because of overtime. Gets the third rewrite, the third force marker definitely helps a lot. We know that Kai is out at least 2 PGs, and now Ryan has all the damage in the world to go full combo, 0 to 3. Even the 0 heal Uluru on the 3 force markers is 35k. That is already at least 2 cards for Ryan to guard.
Oh, okay.
There's the Uluru.
He's going full combo here. I think Kyle knows the writing on the wall on this one, and probably needs to bank on some heals here.
Oh, wow. I think I saw 2 heals in his hand, actually, from Kai.
It looked like it. Yeah.
Oh, man. That's tough.
I think, again, it just comes down to guard the ones you can and pray.
But the thing is, even this attack is quite unguardable. It's 38 on its own, and it's one of your weakest attacks.
And I think what also didn't help Kai either as well is that he had Beatrice in hand. So the possibility of rewriting Beatrice to try to go for your Skull Dragon 3-1 combo was a possibility. But alas.
Defensive comes in, but I don't think it helps much at this stage.
No, it doesn't.
Out comes the Owl, binding the Reinnovate Wing that we saw in PG with. For a fancy, ELO, still a grade 3, plus 9. This is 49.
Oh my god, these numbers.
It's not quite the 70k of the Skull Dragon, but it's still pretty unguardable. And there's the 6 damage.
Oh my god! Heal trigger. Wait a minute. We might have a dog in this race just yet. Wait.
I mean, he's still going to get bigger and bigger, though. This is a 43k base LL, plus what looks like 13 or 15 cards in the bind zone.
Kai, don't tell me my heart like this. Don't give me hope.
I still don't think this is guardable.
It's 28 plus 58 is this attack. Oh my god.
He has...
That's still 20. He does... Well, it's 20k shield, and he has a heal in hand. So this is
a heal in hand.
1 card guard. Okay. The downside is...
Wait,
he needs to do this...
Wait, what?
Why is he doubling?
Is it more than 15?
58. It's 15 plus the 30 is 28 plus 30 is 58. I'm confused.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he dropped the grade 3 heal there, but
no, it's because his Vanguard is 32 and plus the heal is 52, so he's like 6k short.
Ah, right.
Okay.
So Pat coming in out the drop zone there. Now,
15K
even though we've got the 6 damage heal, the problem with Kai is he needs to do this again because there's going to be another grade 3 Uluru coming, grade 3 LL coming at him in just a few moments' time. So definitely not out of the woods yet.
This is a 13 plus a trigger 23 plus the 15k, so there's another 38k. So even this Uluru hits for 38.
Yeah, but that's not that bad. That's 15k shield, no?
No, it's 10k shield.
Yeah, so it's doable, but it has a crit. He doesn't have
he's
10k shield.
He's 5 short.
Oh,
no. Not
So
like that.
close. But that is going to be it for the top 8. Ryan on Steam Maiden squeezes out just a little bit over Kai, and we have ourselves 4 Steam Maidens in the top 4. Wow, that was quite a nail biter of a game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very glad we got to watch that. But yeah, I think just showing you there, even though Ryan kind of quote unquote damaged Knight himself because of how aggressively he got in the early game, it was exactly what he needed, biding his time, eat the Skull Dragon attacks, survive with PGs, and then make the turnabout on the very last turn, thanks to all the farming that he did. Wow, what a game.
Yeah, it's been a very back and forth with this one. And honestly, it was either player's game at this until the last moment, because Kai had a very specific game plan in mind, and he executed it perfectly. The only way his game plan wouldn't work, and the only out for Ryan, was exactly 2 PGs in those last cards in hand, and he exactly added that. Was it only 1, which was very likely? It was basically GG, and Ryan would take the game at that point. So, yeah, honestly, both players played very well. They played to their outs. They really showcased both grind games, their decks that they're able to grind game into the late game. And we saw also the effectiveness of Uluru being able to cycle back that card. Because if Uluru couldn't do that, Ryan couldn't even attack with his Vanguard, and that would also alleviate a lot of pressure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, super amounts of patience there from Ryan.
And it was a reoccurring sentiment that we've seen all through out of yesterday and today as well. A lot of these decks are just trying to keep themselves at lower damage counts. Even going into the first grade 3 turn, a lot of people would think, yeah, I ride up into my grade 3, I do my thing, my opponent's at 5, I try to KO them the following turn. Not a lot of these players, because they know exactly what the choke points are, to keep you from attaining that victory condition and put you in a position like, oh, well, you have to have it now. If you don't have it, I have my pieces, and I'm going to go off next turn. And this has been one of the cool things I've been able to separate good players from the better ones. It's been awesome to watch.
Yep, definitely. So that is going to be the first round of the best of 8 series, the quarterfinals. We are going to take just a very, very quick break, and we'll be back with you in the semifinals in just a few moments. Once again, remember, if you're following the action at home, shout us out on Twitter with hashtag BRO2023. But until then, we'll see you for the semifinals in just a few moments.
Cardfight Vanguard. Something is trying to cross over to this side. Chrono Drag, huh? How did it get here? Chrono Jet Dragon? Are G units back too? Special Series Stride deck set Chrono Jet. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. The Glitters have obtained great strength in response to each of their feelings. These heroes are
Cardfight Vanguard. Something is trying to cross over to this side. Chrono Drag, huh? How did it get here? Chrono Jet Dragon? Are G units back too? Special Series Stride deck set Chrono Jet. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. The Glitters have obtained great strength in response to each of their feelings. These heroes are back too. Booster Pack, Minerva Rising. Bushiroad.
Weiss Schwarz. A romantic battle of the brains unfolds again on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Booster Pack, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Now on sale. Bushiroad.
Hi Honda.
Hi Julius.
Thank you so much for taking out some time out of your busy schedule to join me in this Coffee with Bushiroad series.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, could you tell me a bit about the work you do in Bushiroad?
Well, I do sales and logistics, but I'm mainly on the logistics side.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a lot more questions regarding that, because I think your work is mainly a lot of people don't see or don't understand what goes on behind the scenes in what makes the games possible. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of logistics and transportation involved. But before that, we're gonna dig right into our pastries and coffee and tea. What would you like?
Coffee, please.
Coffee? Coffee for you? Okay,
Sure.
cool. If you can smell this, it smells good.
Wow,
Yeah, this smell really wakes you up. Yeah.
fragrant. No.
Go ahead and help yourself to whichever one that you like.
All right. Which one we like?
No, you go ahead.
Me?
No. Yeah, I'll pick whatever that's remaining.
All right. So I'll go for this.
I'm a good host.
One.
So Huanta, I understand that even before you joined Bushiroad, to work for Bushiroad, I think you played a lot of Bushiroad card games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What games
Yeah.
do you play?
I play mainly Weiss Schwarz, Vanguard, and a little bit of Buddy Fight.
Oh, so you actually.
All right, welcome back to the semi-finals of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023 V Premium EU Tournament. We just saw the last of the non-Steam Maiden pillars fall in top 8. So 4 players in top 4, all 4 Steam Maidens. I think it's pretty obvious what the outcome of this tournament is going to be. But of course, there is still a semi-finals match to go. And it's going to be our world champ for premium, Dave Vecht, versus WCC's Hakase, Mark Guan. 2 titans of the competitive Vanguard scene. What do you think about this, JJ?
Both are achieving world finalists. Both of them have done extremely well at in being proficient at whatever they have been playing in, no matter what the format was. Dave probably might not be the most avid proponent for a standard format, but he also exceeds that as well. So seeing him do well as at this event has been a small spot in my Dutch little heart here. So it's been really nice to see it. But of course, Hakase from the BCC is also nobody to sneeze at. They're quite literally world championship card fighters, so they are people you don't want to sleep on as well. So that's all I have to say on my end. What about you, Eric?
Honestly, it's gonna be very exciting with this one. Like they, as you both basically highlighted, both of them top level contenders. Both are amazing fighters. And once these type of level fighters clash, there's bound to be some fireworks. And I think we're gonna see a lot of exciting stuff in the upcoming match between these two. And maybe a lot might even overflow our heads, and we might not even notice these intricate plays and decision making, as there's always like a million thoughts going behind these players' minds when they decide to play down a grade 1 or a grade 2. And we're going to try to break it down for you guys and to really highlight every single thought process and pattern here, as there's going to be some exciting stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Mark Guan there trying to add yet another notch to his belt, another trophy on the WCC cabinet. Meanwhile, Dave fighting desperately for his beloved Chronojet. Let's have another real quick look at their deck lists one more time before we get into the game. Give it just a moment to load up. Again, they are both Steam Maiden players, not a lot to talk about. Dave is very, as you say, cookie cutter. The only real adjustments are in the ratios. How many Reinnovate Wings you play, how many Nabus you play, do you play the 4th 8, etc., etc. I think we've spoken a lot about the deck and about its combos. And yeah, not a lot to say.
Yeah, it's just good stuff, Steam Maidens, and we're going to see the basic combo plays at its finest with this one, and it's going to mainly be around the player. I think that's the main highlight here. It's seeing how Dave is going to pilot the deck and not necessarily how the deck plays itself in this one. But if we take a look at his opponent, as we take the deck list from RG, as we already highlighted previously in today's stream, it's a bit more tacked out in the grade 2 department, as we see, of course, Grunter, we see Lost Break, as well as a 1-off of a Nabu instead of like a 2-off with most players, or the playset in Dave's case. I'm very curious of how we're going to see Grunter and Lost Break perform in this one. I hope we're going to see them so we can highlight what these cards can do for this deck and how Mark G can potentially utilize them in the mirror match, and see if he can take it up on Dave and go further beyond and maybe even take the whole finals. I'm very curious for the matchup, guys. I don't know what you guys think, but I think I'm ready to jump into the match and see how these two titans are going to clash each other in this semifinals.
All right, then, let's take it away. Without further ado, the players are ready. Go straight into it. All right. Semi-finals, here we go. Dave flexing there his world playmat. And it looks like Mark is going second based on that little card in the corner of his screen there. I think, fellas, there's no way to chop this up nicely. There's no way to sugarcoat it. In the mirror, whoever goes first is pretty much favored to given that they can start comboing before the opponent can.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%.
There are going to be moments where it depends on if going first player does tend to have, if they stumble a little bit or not find the exact pieces they need on time, where I think Losberg can kind of help with situations like binding pieces that you'll want to use on your first combo turn. I think Losberg is a little bit better for if you're going second, which is probably something maybe Mark G accounted for, and possibly also for situations where you're being damage denied, either in the mirror or by your opponents who are going to try to choke you out on your end around the turns.
Yeah, so Dave there going first, finds the Illol ride, which is one of the good ones. As long as anything other than 8 is a great ride, but even 8 has a Vanguard effect. And I think the big thing that's going to affect this matchup is going to be the early turns. Like, do you give them the damage for Enterana? How hard do you rush them? How hard can they capitalize off of the Enterana? Does Mark find his lost breaks? So a lot of factors to make in just the first few minutes of the game.
I cannot really see effectively what Dave bound there. It is a trigger, but I can't.
It's a critical trigger he bound.
It's a critical trigger. Okay. So it's not the ideal one. So Dave mainly used it just to get some extra draw going to fix his hand a bit.
Yeah, there's no heal going into setup combo. Meanwhile, Mark, like I said, riding 8 with a Vanguard effect, converting this Reinnovate into the Elo that he needs. But we'll see whether or not Mark gives him the attack. I think that's going to be the critical factor here. Do you play the game of how many Enteranas does my opponent have?
I've discussed this quite a lot with Dave in the past about this, and he's mainly, and I do agree to some sentiment, that especially in the mirror, damage denying has no real purpose in the fact that the only thing you're doing is delaying the inevitable. So might as well just put it at pressure and start to pressure opponent early on to force them to discard combo pieces and hopefully just overwhelm them with the raw numbers that you start racking up right from turn 3 onwards. And we're probably going to see that with Dave to some extent, because I think Dave is just going to swing for the fences here and just start pressuring immediately.
Yep, so we see there that Mark actually chose to damage deny. Dave had the Enterana ride, but didn't have the counterblast to search for the cat. And the fact that he put the Enterana on the Vanguard circle and not riding a different grade 2 so he could abuse the rearguard effect of Enterana tells me that Dave has no other grade 2s in hand. And if I can see that, definitely Mark can see that too.
Unless he's completely bamboozling all of us and just saying, you know what?
Oh, high-level mind games.
Yeah. I can definitely see Dave doing that in this situation. Just saying,
yeah, as expected from a Worlds player.
Like, give the illusion that my hand is bad, so they might think, oh, I can pressure them now, and then they give you 2 to 3 counterblasts, and then immediately start to call Enterana to the left circle, call Enterana to the right circle. I'm going to plus 1 billion, and you're going to cry about it.
Full combo, yeah. But now the question for Dave is the same question. How hard do I rush Mark? How many Enteranas does Mark have? Etc., etc. Do I damage deny here? Do I try and pull up a lead where I can? Down comes a second Enterana anyway. That's not great for Dave either, because it means that he loses access to a few extra cats being called from the deck. He needs to recycle these Enteranas aggressively now for deck thinning. And he's just going to look like full rushing.
Yeah, I like this a whole lot. He also called the Naboo here for the extra draw power too, because the Entranda boosted by the cat is going to be able to Soul Blast one of the grade 1 Steam Maidens from the Soul, so he can use it for the Naboo skill to keep his opponent from guarding properly. So he's going to be able to choose a combo piece to bind here to add binding, exactly. Binding the heal trigger.
Yep. Adding a Naboo. I like
considering
this a lot.
it.
Mark also damaged no triggers and instead took a cat as damage. So Mark's early game plussing and filtering is now slightly weakened.
Oh, he's
going to add the
heal.
heal. Ooh. And then Naboo binds the Illol.
And this is exactly what I was referring to. Like, Dave has no doesn't mind the counterblast play. Like, he's just all about, I'm gonna rush you as hard as possible, force you in an awkward situation, because Steam Maidens can reuse counterblast very effectively. But if you put Steam Maiden at like 4 or 5 damage on the first grade 3 turn, they cannot use that much counterblast that efficiently. They're going to keep some open, so might as well just put them in a situation that you give them so much counterblast, they cannot effectively use it the turn, and just basically make them waste that excessive amount of resources and establish more tempo play in the early game.
I like this a whole lot because it puts your opponent on, you have to have it.
Yeah.
If you have it, you have it. If you don't, then I'm ahead by a million in comparison to you. I like that sort of mentality a whole lot. It's very aggressive. It's very red. I like that.
Yeah, it's high reward. I get it.
Yeah, I like that. It's very red.
Something I also want to point out here from Mark is that when Mark rode the 8, and he actually ended up discarding another 8 for the cost instead of discarding the quick shield. Normally, you discard the quick shield because it's less shield, but Mark respected the Nabu and held onto the quick shield for that reason. I think that's definitely worth shouting out.
Yeah, definitely, because like your opponent's grade two game is going to be coming up, and knowing somebody like Dave who tends to go like wide and aggressive, he'll at least have like one rear guard column that even if it's not the Vanguard, if you hit a defensive trigger, and if your opponent still hits an offensive trigger, the 5k shield can still kind of help in situations like that. It's still pretty good. It's really nice.
Yeah, and here's where the dichotomy of going first and second makes a huge difference, because Mark didn't want to give Dave the damage because then Dave can do a lot of stuff on turn 2, but Dave was happy to give Mark damage because even if Mark has it, like I said, if you have it, you have it. But we see here, Mark did have it. He got the double Entrana, double cat. He's going +4 this turn. If Mark chooses to attack to use the Soul Blast effect of Entrana to get some pluses, he's going to give Dave 3 damage, and Dave is just going to be off to the races with full combo.
Yeah. And it's going to be columns he'll have to deal with. So he needs to think, well, every swing I do to my opponent now is an extra 2 to 3 attacks that I'll have to be dealing with later on. Am I okay with this? And you need to be okay with this to deal with it. It's going to intercept for a 1 to pass here.
It's greedy, and unfortunately, Mark breaks it. That's huge.
First
Defensive
check.
coming in from Dave. There's a draw comes in, also huge.
That's pretty good.
Which I think almost turns off all of Mark's columns.
They're exactly 1k too short.
I love this as well. This is a very heads up thing from Dave. He puts it in a situation where his opponent has to give everything to Vanguard. And if Dave hits defensive here, it turns off the rest of the turn. So he keeps himself at low damage. So if Mark had given it to a side column, for example, it would have been putting Dave potentially to 3 instead of just 2. This is really nice. This is a really, really cool thing. I like it. And it also puts the Entrana in drop zone, which you can use with Elol for next turn to get a card back out, so he doesn't have to call over it. His Rayguard slot is now free.
I was about to say that's an interesting choice. Seeing if I have those 2 cards in my top 2, I without a doubt say bind the grade 2, grab the grade 3 to hand, because that gives you so much momentum. But Margie apparently chooses to grab the grade 2 to hand and bind the grade 3. Maybe it's just for shield value. I think that he might be.
That's what I think as well. Like, because here's the other thing as well to consider. I don't know if did Mark see a grade 0 Uluru in rotation?
Nope.
Not yet. No.
Right. So since he hasn't seen an Uluru yet, Mark has no access to counterblast. So maybe Dave just attacks rears here, and if Dave attacks rears, Re-Innovate has to either bind a cat or bind another piece from hand, which Mark maybe doesn't want to do. So maybe Mark's like playing for the worst. He's being like, okay, I've given my opponent a bunch of damage. I can't, I haven't generated as much tempo or damage lead as I was hoping to, and now I need to play damage control and slow the pace of the game down.
Also,
so Elo into Entrana here.
Also, a thing to keep to consider here is that Margie just plussed quite a few cards and put in sizable board on the field, but at the same time, he used all his counterblast. He has no combo piece in rotation as of yet, so what he's has done is nothing Steam Maiden related and just plus generically, which isn't ideal because next turn he needs to ride the grade 3, but he cannot really pop off at that moment with the current cards that he has access to, unless his hand is like specifically the grade 4 Uluru, so he can bind more stuff. But even then, his drop zones aren't any Steam Maiden combo pieces. We haven't seen the grade 1s. We haven't seen the grade 2. The only thing we've seen so far are grade 3s in his bind zone.
Yeah, I think even like his drop zone doesn't have the grade 1 Ilil in it either. So it's not like, even if he did have the grade 0 Uluru, I don't think he has a target for the 1 yet. So again, maybe that's one argument for not taking the Re-Innovate, because he knows that even if he binds the grade 2 Aloe, he can't extend fully. Meanwhile, Dave does have the Uluru, 15 coming in magic numbers against Mark's Vanguard, double intercept there, just to stay low on damage, knowing, again, you want to like give yourself room to hit defensives where you can. But out comes the Ilol. But now I think Dave doesn't, I think the only grade 2 in Dave's bind zone is a Nabu.
I think so, but Dave might also hedge his bet on the Soul Blast skill of Entrana, because he can potentially see extra targets there. But it looks like Dave just gonna go for the Naboo. The Naboo does gives a lot of value, not only the draw, but an important piece in the mirror match is the guard restrict. The guard restrict can definitely matter at some instances here.
Yeah, and again, I think it comes down to not damage denying yourself. Like if Dave spent his counter blast on full combo, he might not have enough to play the game going forward. Huge crit, yep. You crit me, I crit you back. But I think this crit is definitely better than Mark's crit.
I love this. Wait. So if he attacks with Interana, binds a grade 3 or higher, attack with Naboo on. So if he attacks with unboosted, binds.
No, because you already used Elul's effect.
Such,
so
yeah.
Naboo will be the last attack in this turn, but I think there was a chance to greed there and use Enterana first to try and like bind a grade 2 from the top 2 before you use the grade 1 to try to leap further. But I still like the use of Naboo just like plus a bit further. Get an extra card in hand, build up your resources, and most importantly, not starve yourself with Counterblast.
Also, as a good Gear Chronicle player, he probably has seen the crit already on the top of the deck, so he knows the moment he used Enterana, that crit would be gone. So he saw the future and just swing with Vanguard first. I respect it.
So this still hits Vanguard. This is coming in for 21k because there's 3 bounds so far.
Mark, they're choosing not to use this PG. Being patient with his PG might be coming back to bite him. He's not fallen behind, but he's losing a lot of tempo here. Enterana finds Cat and 8.
Cat is huge. He can call it behind the Vanguard and make massive numbers starting next turn.
Yep. Start asking Mark for those PGs sooner than later.
It's going to be putting him into 5 here if he can't guard this. Should be able to.
What, 38? It is 20k shield. That's
I think it's 43 even, because the Cat gets +5.
Right, yeah. So that's 25k shield. Yeah, that is asking a lot to guard with. Is Mark going to burn the Uluru grade 4 straight away now? I think I would if I was in his shoes, right? Because your bind zone is not well set up at all.
You can't use the grade 4 Uluru because Naboo is grade 1 and higher.
Right, yeah. So he's just going to take the 5th damage. It is going to be a heal. It keeps him in the game. But of course, as we know, the grade 0 Uluru heal is a combo piece. So damaging it means that there's one less combo piece in rotation, which, given that Mark's board is already not very well set up, this could be problematic. Like, I would almost rather have the 5th damage.
Okay, being able to ride Ulu, as we saw him fetching it earlier on turn 1 with the Lost Gate Arcade. Now's the question. How can Mark turn his bind zone of 2 grade 3s into an actual usable combo piece? He has one bind option with Ulu, but I don't know if there's enough targets for him to generate something. We might see just another Enterana turn, but I don't know if you have the time for that at this point, because Dave already is set up, can use his combo next turn even stronger than last turn, and you being at 4 damage and not that great of a hand size, depends if you can manage that.
Lost Break helps set up a little bit of the bind zone. Binds an Enterana. I also noticed that Mark only has 1 soul. Maybe that's another reason he didn't choose to add the Reinnovate, because he knows that he'd be on no soul, and that would mean that he'd be unable to use Enterana to re-farm that hand advantage.
Yeah, that's also a downside of using double Enterana in the early game. Dave knows this as well, is that from experience, double Enterana sounds very nice, but if you're not mixing in Naboos in your earlier turns, you'll run out of soul so quickly that you might not even have room to use a Renovate ring to seal the deal or get you out of these sticky situations. So that's the thing to always keep in mind when seeing the appeal of a double Enterana turn, especially on turn 2.
2 5k shields coming in for Dave. Mark is going to leap the Illul into an Enterana. So this is only 4 attacks this turn. This is not a lot. He does have the Enterana Soul Blast to add 1 more card to hand, but this feels like Mark was already behind, and I think this line of play this time doesn't really put him back into the game. It's him trying to get back. He's got 7 cards in hand. It's going to end up on 10, which is pretty healthy compared to Dave's 8 or 9. But again, Dave has all the tempo in the world. Dave has all the initiative. Like, the Lost Break is not a threat either because it doesn't leap. It doesn't do anything. It's just going to be a, 21k body that Dave can just easily shut down with another defensive. So I think, Mark, you go with Vanguard here, right? Because you want to put triggers on that Lost Break so that actually does something.
Yeah. You're going to attack with the Vanguard at least either after You might attack with the last pick first because you have the standing unit on the force marker, but it depends on how you want to spread the power output. You can go, he's gonna go with the Vanguard first, probably just to make both numbers at least 20 plus K guard to force at least more than one card from Dave's hand. Oh, PG coming in is very nice here. That can help him for next turn with bigger numbers.
We know that he already has one as well from the previous turn, so he's holding on to his PGs, which, as we know, is what makes or breaks the final few turns. Dave gets a big heal as well. The defensive doesn't shut down anything now because Mark got the trigger onto the Lost Break, and Dave loses an Uluru, but Dave already has the Uluru in rotation, unlike Mark.
Yep. I think all Dave is not missing is just a grade 3 in his bind zone. I think it gets his whole combo going.
So he evens out the damage.
I have an English suspicious, JA, that we might see a rewrite next turn for Dave's size to fix that problem.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then Mark burns his final soul. What does he find? Again, no combo pieces. You just shield and a piece that he already has. I mean, the shield definitely doesn't go amiss, but it's not what he needs right now.
I think he takes a Reinnovate Wing here.
He might, but I can see him as a beater as well. Renovate Wing, I can respect it. He's not trying to finish the game here, and he hopes that Renovate Wing is going to stay on the board for next turn so he can potentially use it if he can rewrite.
Yeah, again, soul is the big concern for Mark there. So this is what I'm saying. When he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, he wants to do this and he wants to do that, but he just isn't able to. And despite having the double Enterana high roll early turns, he hasn't been able to capitalize and convert that into real, into a winning position.
Meanwhile, it's created a whole dichotomy for him right now. He's thinking, oh, well, I need to put on some pressure. I need to get this value going. Like, we're both at the same equal amount of damage, but he's already a turn ahead. I need to find a way to try to close this game out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it definitely gets to your mental side, like knowing that Dave went first and that Dave had everything he needed to go into his big turn 3. Like, you have to be honest with yourself, like, yeah, I am behind, and that is definitely going to influence how you play. Dave there guarding everything, staying on 3 damage, which is, as we said, the threshold, but he has all the damage in the world face up. He has an Uluru in rotation that we know about. I think at this point it's fine for Dave to commit, really push Mark down and whittle away that hand size, and just be like, even if you try and aggro me back, I'm under no threat.
Also, what did I tell you, DJ? I saw that rewrite coming. I knew it.
When you're right, Eric.
I know.
Now the question becomes, how can Dave put together this board? Can he go 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2?
I think either we're going to see a Renovate coming down, or we're going to see another Enterana somewhere down the line to just Soul Blast that great free mid combo and get it right on time for an extinction play.
He's currently considering his options here, whether or not he wants to go for Enterana, which you can give him the Soul Blast of the grade 3 that he'll probably need, or he goes for Uluru here, which gives him a start to his combo chain.
Uluru not on the force markers, interestingly enough.
That is a very telegraph sign from what Dave might call on the other force marker.
I think so. So that is an 18k column still, because the cat does gain 5 from having 5 bind, so it does still hit some decent numbers. And yep, as you expected, he has full combo on the other side as well. Okay, I think Mark needs to hit another really good defensive here to even have a chance of fighting back.
He might be able to guard everything, but that will probably leave him at no cards in hand at that point.
Yep, so Lost Break, intercepting there, and the 15k shield from hand. Ilul into Alul. Oh no, into Nabu. Interesting. So Dave's just trying to force damage through here.
Yeah, the reason why you're probably going to go this route is because he's want to maximize the amount of value he's going to get for the force marker. Because he can extend the counterblast on the force marker right now, but the problem is you leave the option of Mark G hitting a defense trigger and shutting down the left column. Dave probably wants to get Uluru off that left circle onto the force marker as soon as possible with the maximum amount of value while you're multi-attacking. And going into Nabu here maximizes that chance for Dave here.
Yeah, it's still 30k, which is still hitting good numbers. And then it also, most importantly, he either has 2 counterblasts to go from 0 to 3 with the other side, or he could leave himself with 1 open damage so that, again, he doesn't damage himself going to the next turn. But Nabu here is going to boost, but sets up an Enterana. And I think Mark might just have to take this because this is what, 30, 38, 40, 43, 44? Which is what, 25k shield? No, 35 shield. Which is asking for a lot, especially when you can only use triggers. So yeah, he's going to take the 5th damage. The big defensive does come in. That helps a lot. It does turn off the Uluru column, which is why Dave is now fishing for that trigger to hit. And I think if Dave hits a trigger here, I think Mark is definitely like both feet out the door.
Yeah, because his hand
comes in. No trigger.
Oh,
okay.
That's huge.
So 18 at rear. And then LL leaping back into the Illol. And here's the critical thing about not only does the rewrite give him the extra soul and it lets him soul blast the grade 3, the second force marker means that this Illol still hits.
Yeah, it's 28k. It's no laughing matter numbers on the year at this point.
Still 10k shield. Mark's hand is like relatively healthy, so he's not out of the door yet.
But he does need to guard everything.
Exactly, he does need to preserve his whole entire hand. I think Mark, did we happen to see a rewrite for him for next turn or no?
I think we did.
There might be, but the chance is I haven't seen it being drive checked. And we know at least one other Elu is in the bind zone or in the drop zone. Yeah, it's a bind zone. So he has 2 cards left potentially in his deck to search. So it's possible, but it's not guaranteed.
Okay, it's going to guard for 10 here. Keeps him alive.
And then I think this, because Dave doesn't have the greater rotation, I think he goes for, Enterana here. Uses the counterblast on his final cat, making sure that he actually does have 1 more cat in rotation. Just to soul blast that grade 3, get in the drop zone, ready for next turn, ready for a full combo. So I actually like this line of play more than going into Alol and going into Reinnovate Wing. Because sure, it's 1 less attack, but you know that you're not winning the game here because your opponent has enough cards to guard those attacks. So instead, put yourself in a position where you will never lose the game next turn, and you can definitely just blow your opponent out of the water now that they're on 5.
Yeah, it just maximizes the value you can generate because you're essentially setting up your next turn instead of just trying to push as hard this turn, which makes next turn just all the more threatening, and the success of lethality just increases significantly.
Yep. But Mark does have a full stick of butter to work with next turn because he's going to be able to send a card back. That grade 4 is going to be able to bind itself. Just needs to find a way to find a grade 3 in its drop or rewrite 1 to try to soul blast it. Then he should be able to manage.
I'll also mention here that Dave whiffed 2 cats this turn. The one behind the Vanguard and the one that came in off the Enterana.
Oh, that's dangerous for next turn. I see once again.
The 3rd rewrite, yep. So again, like you said, putting yourself in a position where I know that I might not win this turn, but I can definitely not lose next turn and then definitely win next turn. So now Mark is, the phrase I like to use is definitely staring down the barrel of that shotgun. Does he have the Uluru rotation? Can he double end? He doesn't even have enough soul to double Enterana to recoup an advantage. So this is going to be real rough.
I think in this situation, Mark just need to figure out his win condition. I don't think now knowing there's going to be another rewrite, he needs to close the deal right this turn. And maybe that's going to ask everything from his deck to see some miracle top checking to get the entire combo for the bind zone, or maybe just hoping a double crit coming down here.
Oh, he's going into main phase here, so he does not have a rewrite.
That's good for Dave. And as we keep saying, Mark still has PG in his hand that he hasn't used yet, and all of a sudden those PGs aren't looking too hot compared to, say, actual combo pieces.
So let's see. Mark does have a hedged combo here. So this can still turn into a 4-attack turn. Nonetheless, this doesn't stop it.
I think 5.
Yeah, he can go.
Yeah,
he
5.
can go to the Uluru grade 4 because it's in the bind zone.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Actually, more. He can go to 7 because he can use the free leap on the Enterana to go into the Elo and then into the
But does he have a? Oh, does he have grade 3 bound? Oh yeah, he can.
He does.
He can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
actually,
he does.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's actually good to go here. It's not bad.
And again, Dave is incentivized to take some damage just so he has full combo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Puts him on
the only
4.
question is, does Dave have his own PG to deal with Mark's Vanguard column?
Yeah, this is looking a lot more scary now. From Mark, it's gonna go into grade Naboo. Okay.
Yep, realizing that, yeah, the soul is actually pretty useful. I need to draw cards. I need to not lose next turn.
This does shut off some of his multi-attack options, as he now loses out on attack here.
Yeah, he's down to 5 attacks, because both of these grade 2s... Oh, sorry, the Enterana now has to use the Elo leap to go into the Elo in the bind or a Reinnovate wing, but there's no like grade 4 attack, there's no like recontinue combo. The heal is excellent though, finally puts the grade 0 Uluru into rotation, so if Mark can survive Dave's onslaught with the 3 force markers next turn, he will finally have full combo. And again, Dave's hand is not as healthy as Mark has been throughout this game. He's whiffed cats, he didn't have double Enterana, so if Dave can't seal the deal next turn, that also might just be it. But we see that Dave did have the PG for Mark's Vanguard swing, so now he just needs to deal with these last 2 attacks. Probably no guards the Naboo, and then just finds a way to guard this slightly big Enterana column, which is I think definitely possible given Dave's hand right now.
He's also considering it here because there's a couple of grade 3s he did end up securing in his hand here. Did secure the grade 3 reride. I think we did see a Ururu is trying to find a defensive trigger here to hit with. That's going to go into his soul. It's going to draw a card.
So this looks like 6 or 7 cards in Mark's bind zone. Looks like 7. So that is a 35k Enterana column into 13. But we have the grade 4 Uluru, 1 card to guard, sets up the bind zone, everything he needs. This could be the play. We know Dave still has the reride. Mark has the Soul Blast 1 from the Naboo to add some more cards to hand, but he really needs to either find the grade 4 Uluru here or a PG, and he finds 2 crits.
At
15k
shield.
15k shield.
It's really good still, nonetheless.
It's good, but it's also 2 defensives now gone.
That is true. And he definitely had room to hit defenses because he did get that really good heal coming in.
So now it's going to be boosted here. Gets plus 1k for every card that's bound. Then it's over a 40k column here.
Yeah, it's plus 16 to the entire column, so that's...
Does Dave have another PG, or does he gonna have to like hard guard this?
Another
does
PG.
Have the second PG. All right. So this might be it then. Come on, Dave. Show us the 3rd force marker. Show us the future you desire with you and 4 Chronojets.
If Mark G hits like a defensive right at the gate and potentially a heal, this might not honestly might not be the closing game that Dave is trying to search here. There's still a possibility for Mark G to survive, as he has a considerable amount of cards in hand, and he has 1 damage to take, so that could definitely help him to mitigate the amount of value these force markers can generate.
Yeah, we know that 2 of those cards in Mark's hand are still PGs that he hasn't burned yet.
Yep. Potentially Ururu somewhere skulking around in there as well.
Goes for the Elo. Interesting there. So unless Dave has the last grade 0 in his hand, which he does. There we go. He didn't need to call the grade 0 from Elo's effect, and he still has full combo. What's Mark going to do here?
It's going to be 38 plus boost.
I think it's worth mentioning that Dave only has 2 damage, not 3, so he's not going to have full combo. I think he's going to lose out on the last grade 3 attack. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, end turn. But with 3 force markers, that alone might be enough to get there. Mark's going to take this damage.
Oh,
heal trigger.
But
it doesn't go off, but it is a defensive. Of course, I think the defensive doesn't matter anymore because there's now enough cards in Dave's bind zone that Uluru column without the force markers does still hit.
It will still hit. But the question is, like, does another heal?
It takes it. Yep, 4th damage. 6th damage is not a heal. It's the grade 4 Uluru. Mark knows that even with a double PG, he doesn't have enough to survive. And Dave Vect goes on to the finals.
My God. Honestly, I'm quite surprised. Like I know about the mirror match and where you're like, once you hit the rewrite, you're golden and you're probably secured for game. Now we've seen two Steam Maidens back to back securing the triple force marker. I don't know what's going on today. It's like these Steam Maidens are like, I need more force markers.
Yeah.
Like
you
I
say,
think
it's
it's
just,
due to the fact that the evolving meta right now, or the evolving player base, have now just changed their way of approaching maidens. Whether or not you choose to damage the knight or you try to choose to stall them out is entirely up to you. Trying to get to the later stages of the game is probably like one of the biggest goals of a lot of V premium competitors these days.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like we saw this match was between two titans of the competitive scene, two extremely skilled players, and Dave's just showing there like, okay, going first, I know that my opponent is probably going to damage deny me, so I know that I can rush them, they'll rush me back, and then I can just go to the moon from there. Mark playing very patiently, but it just wasn't quite enough. He didn't have the rerides. He missed his setup for combo by turn 3. No Ulurus in the rotation. No way to get a second grade 2 in rotation. And Dave just had all the pieces down and just ran away with that lead. And we see that on the other side of the bracket, Ryan M beating out Go. So, Steam Maiden beat Steam Maiden, not a lot to say there, but we're down to the Steam Maiden finals between Dave and Ryan.
Oh, I'm so excited, guys. This is going to be such a high octane set of games because even though both established decks, both of us, I'm way less informed on the decision process of Steam Maidens because I'm a red deck player. I still find it super interesting to take a look at from the perspectives of all of you, listening to the inner workings of the options that the deck has. It gives credence to how cool V Premium can be, showing us like, hey, everybody can play this deck, but not everybody can play this deck. It's really nice to watch.
Yep, absolutely. So we are just going to take a very quick break. Of course, just a reminder, Mark, Guan, and Joe Go, their tournaments are not over yet. There is still a third place playoff, so they are going to be playing there as well. But we will be looking, of course, at the grand finals, watching Dave follow his story as he earns his 4 Chrono Jets right after this break.
Cardfight Vanguard. Something is trying to cross over to this side. Chrono Drag, huh? How did it get here? Chrono Jet Dragon? Are G units back too? Special Series Stride deck set Chrono Jet. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. The Glitters have obtained great strength in response to each of their feelings. These heroes are back too. Booster Pack, Minerva Rising. Bushiroad.
Weiss Schwarz. A romantic battle of the brains unfolds again on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Booster Pack, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Now on sale. Bushiroad.
Hi, Honda.
Hi, Julius.
Thank you so much for taking out some time out of your busy schedule to join me in this Coffee with Bushiroad series.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, could you tell me a bit about the work you do in Bushiroad?
Well, I do sales and logistics, but I'm mainly on the logistics side.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a lot more questions regarding that because I think your work is mainly a lot of people don't see or don't understand what goes on behind the scenes in what makes the games possible.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of logistics and transportation involved. But before that, we're going to dig right into our pastries and coffee and tea. What would you like?
Coffee, please.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee for you? Okay,
Sure.
cool. You can smell this. It smells good.
Wow,
Yeah, this smell really wakes you up. Yeah.
fragrant.
Yeah. Go ahead and help yourself to whichever one that you like.
All right. Which one we like?
No, you go ahead.
Me?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll pick whatever that's remaining.
All right, so I'll go for this.
I'm a good host.
You want?
So Huanta, I understand that even before you joined Bushiroad, to work for Bushiroad, I think you played a lot of Bushiroad card games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What games
Yeah.
do you play?
I play mainly Weiss Schwarz, Vanguard, and a little bit of Buddy Fight.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
so you actually play our 3 main titles.
Yeah.
Oh, when did you start playing?
For Vice, I started playing, I think, somewhere around 2008, 2009 kind of time when it first started out in Japan. Yeah.
Wow, that's like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And then for Vanguard?
Vanguard, I think I also started when it first came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you actually played Vice first.
Yeah.
How do you get to know Weiss Schwarz?
So there was kind of like a community get together to learn the game. Like they brought some Vice products from Japan, so I brought it over to Singapore, and they actually promoted the event, like come down to learn, and they actually sell some of the stuff they got in Japan. So yeah, that's how I got wine of Vice, and I started learning, and I liked the game.
Which Weiss Schwarz titles are you currently enjoying?
I'm really enjoying the Fujimi Fantasia set right now, especially the deck with 8 standbys. It's very interesting. And also, I really like playing Goblin Slayer, especially the Goblin Slayer deck. The overall card advantage and the abilities is very flavorful. It's gonna be a huge. It has made a huge impact in the game itself, and soon English player can get their hands on the series. You know, it's coming out in English. Yeah, for Goblin Slayer.
Wow, I think players can really look forward to that. Yeah. Do you still remember your very first deck? What title was it?
It was Fate Stain Night Trial deck.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so long ago. Yeah.
And ever since then, you just continued
Yeah.
playing the game. And now, right now, you are actually working for Bushiroad.
Yeah.
Wow, this is kind of like, it's coming to a full circle.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Vanguard clan?
My favorite clan would be Dark Irregulars.
Oh.
No, I love the overall theme of the deck, artwork, card abilities. Like soul charging, it thins your deck. So deck thinning is very important in card games. You get to draw into more important cards, or it might go the other way. Like it makes everything looks exciting. Yeah, that's about it.
Here we are. Welcome back to the grand finals of Bushiroad Rumble Online 2023 V Premium EU Tournament. It's the end. It's coming to the end of the day, but we're already. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling very, very hyped.
It's hot, man. It is gonna be such a good set of games here. We've seen way. Oh my god. I mean, I'm a loss of words for it. Usually, I have like some weird analogy I can give, or some like I don't know highfalutin comment to give. But I'm really, really proud to see like all the community being able to support Cardfight Vanguard like this, and it's been a stellar set of games to watch. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Like we've already seen some amazing plays today, and even with yesterday in consideration, it's been some crazy 2 last days of Vanguard across like global setting. Not only for us for EU side, but we have of course NA going against each other. We have AO going crazy that just wrapped up earlier today, and this is just the start of a lot of things. As this honestly is somewhat the beginning of the whole competitive format of Vanguard this year, as we have BCF going on right now. Even to some extent, shop leaks are still happening. We have more Bureau coming up later this year. And also, we have to wait till the announcement even from BCS for the Championship Series for 2023 itself. There's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot going to happening right now, and it makes me super excited for what we're going to see. And right now, we're about to head into a insane finals of 2 competitive players going almost undefeated 10 rounds in a row, and I cannot wait to see what these 2 titans are going to do to try to beat the other one out of potentially having the 2 extra copies of the Chrono Jet promo card.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you say there's only 2 copies of the promo between first and second, but I know that for Dave in particular, it is definitely all on the line.
Yeah, it's life or death for him at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And the players are ready, and I'll tell you this for a fact, both players are playing card for card the exact same list. We went over them at the beginning of the day. We went over Dave's deck at the beginning of round 4, the top 4. I think these decks no longer need any introduction. I think we're more than happy to just get straight into the games. So without further delay, here we go. The grand finals, ladies and gentlemen. Dave on the left, Ryan on the right. Let's see who goes home with the glory.
Okay, so this might be a bit controversial, but honestly, if we look at the game state right now, I think Dave is favored a lot by the sheer fact he's playing Dren as a starter, as I think that is the right choice in his teammate and mirror match.
I will disagree with this because cats are awesome. I myself can't really be around them because they make me a little, sick. But I will say tigers are great. The tigers are independent. Cats are awesome. No, tigers are where it's at.
All right, in that case, I'm gonna be the problematic person here and say I don't actually like V-Dran's art. I much prefer the G-Dran art. So if I was having to play Steve Maiden, I would play the Draco Kid starter.
Oh, A? See? A. Easy.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree with the art choice because I agree with G-Dren being better than V-Dren, but sadly that's not an option. You can do it in standard. We can play G Chrono Jet in standard, but that's sadly not the case for V.
Yeah, so players there. I think they've mulliganed, and I think we're just waiting to see who's going first.
Probably talking about the entire day they've had so far. I know all of ours have been pretty exciting. Hopefully you guys at home have been having some exciting matches as well, being able to spectate and also play yourself as well. Don't forget to be using the hashtag BRO2023 on Twitter to contact us. We can read it out online to see what you guys are saying, what you guys are posting. I think yesterday, one of our feature match contestants did send us a match of what they were doing that day, so it was really nice to watch. But
we see a very strong start from Ryan's side. Not only is he going to go first, he's able to ride Ilu, which arguably is the best ride up in turn 1, but he also is able to bind Uluru as well and call a cat, which searches the grade 3. The only thing Ryan is missing at this point is just a grade 2, and he's settled for the entire game.
Imagine if he rides it and goes into Interhanda. How do you feel about that?
I feel kind of dirty at that point because that doesn't feel right.
Looks like he's gonna get rid. He's thinking about the quick shield, whether or not he wants to get rid of it.
You can, I think you can bind it as well potentially, but you don't get a lot of value off of it. But I think he bound. Oh, he's waiting for the skill. He's first going to see what he can fetch with cat. And we see the unlucky side of Dave again. He misses once again a cat.
Gets a cycle through his hand here. So I have a very weird mentality when it comes to search effects and draw effects. I tend to use my draw effects first and search effects after, because then I get to search for cards that I need. How do you guys feel about that?
It depends on what type of search in this situations. Like, if you can search anything from your deck, I agree. I first draw because I can potentially search my main target, then I can go for my second target. But in case like things like cat that check the top card of my deck, so I'm dependent on RNG, then I much rather don't draw first because I can potentially draw another target, thus decreasing the percentage chance of the card actually hitting. So I would, in this case, first cat and then the Elu skill. In my honest opinion.
How do you feel about it, Ben?
I think Ben might have muted himself accidentally. We're waiting till some technical.
He's completely speechless right now. He's completely
my bad. I was talking to the judge about some other stuff, but I was gonna say, like, I'm in the exact opposite boat. I am of the opinion that you almost always search first, because depending on what you need or what you're missing, once you search, it's like a 0.5% chance, like percentage point difference, but you become a little bit more likely to draw better cards. Anyway, back to the action. We see there that Dave, he's on the opposite side of the situation he was in previous game, but he actually chose to go to aggro going second. And we see that Ryan did have the Enterana to capitalize on, and Ryan doing what Dave did and being like, yep, you aggro me, I aggro you right back, because whatever you do, I'm going to be able to ride grade 3 and push you up again anyway.
Also, this entire board is going to refund itself. Every single cat gets another card. Naboo is going to disappear and draw another card, replacing itself. And same goes for Enterana. This is kind of crazy on Ryan's side. He has like literally one of the best openers you can have for a Steam Maiden deck. Luckily, Dave is hitting his defensives, but that means we're already 2 draw pitches out. One is in his hand because he draw checked that last turn, but now is now also one in the damage zone.
Yeah, Dave burning the quick shield there to stay low on damage. Finds his own Enterana. Not awful, but not ideal. And he's just deciding whether he wants to counterblast for it. I think he doesn't because he has another Enterana on the rear guard. So now the question is, are you going to aggro him right back and play into his grade 3 turn? Or are you going to try and do what we saw Mark do the previous time, just like push your resources, get the plus, and try and mount a comeback?
I think he's in a mindset of face. And I like that. I like going face here.
I think you have to go face because hitting rearguard for Steam Maidens mean almost nothing as they get those cards back anyways. And at the same time, the moment Dave is going to slow down, Ryan is not going to slow down anymore. He's just going to keep putting his foot on the gas because he doesn't need anything else anymore. He has the grade 0, he has the grade 1, the grade 2 is on the Vanguard Circle, which he can Soul Blast out next turn if he has a Renovate Wing or mid combo with the Enteron on the board. So Ryan is just set. He can just keep going, and Dave has whatever Dave is doing doesn't matter to Ryan anymore.
Huge! Wow.
Not only gets rid of the face down damage, but it's an Ulu that he can use for combo. Wow, that was the perfect drive check. And the thing what I was about to say before that happened is that the difference between Dave and Ryan is that Ryan has engine set up. He's got the Ulu in the bind zone. He's got grade 1 Illu in the bind zone. We know that he has Enterana in rotation. He's got the Alil he can Soul Blast. He has the Elil for Reride. Like, Ryan does have full combo. Dave was still missing pieces, but I think Dave now just needs to Soul Blast the grade 1 from his soul and get that in rotation, and he's good to go. We saw him at the grade 3 LL with the cat. So yeah, the grade 2 is all he needs, and he's on almost even footing now, all of a sudden.
And this heal trigger puts him in a situation where he can also just take a little bit extra damage if he needs to. And Naboo goes to the damage as well, so that's also a call target he could use for later. He gets to draw a card off of here and develops a little bit extra soul, which puts him in parity. This is really, really good. The defensive trigger coming down doesn't really matter anymore.
It's one less crit Dave has to deal with.
So, interesting enough, from having no setup at the start of this turn for Dave, now Dave has a 0 to Naboo line play access for next turn as he has the Uluru in his hand. So he can guard with it, and the next turn, right Illu, bind it with the Vanguard skill, and have 0 to 1 to 2 and draw while you're doing that. Which, honestly, is it pretty decent for these earlier stages in the game.
Yep, meanwhile, Ryan does only have 1 damage to play with, so he rides into the LL. He can use LL to call out the Uluru from bind, but then that's still only 3 attacks versus the regular 5. Sorry, 4 attacks. So he's going to bind the Entrana. Out comes the Uluru, as we expected. He does have 1 and a 2. A second Uluru. Yes,
okay.
I was going to say, like, you can't use both, buddy. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
We cannot be that greedy. I know you're having a good game, Ryan, but we have to slow down a little bit. I cannot imagine a world where you can use 2 Ulurus in a single game.
He's going to go in, unboosted, hitting magic numbers. And I think if I'm in Dave's shoes here, I'm tempted to guard aggressively like Dave is doing, because you know that his combo is going to be better than yours. You're missing a few pieces still. You want to be low on damage so that you can guard the you can take the unguardable swings later on. And you know that you still are needing to plus, you still need to catch up, you still need to recuperate value, which you're not going to be able to do on 3 damage.
So we're getting rid of his 2 copies of Gyarados 8 since he doesn't really need them anymore. Most of his combos are already facilitated. All he's missing is just some grade 2s. So he's going to be taking the Vanguard swing here. So no guard.
2 blanks. The grade 4 Uluru is a nice check for Ryan. It gives him a lot of tankiness going into Dave's grade 3 turn. Also,
it's grade 2 he needed. Oh no. That goes into damage here.
Dave taking that damage is really unfortunate. He's missing out on an additional combo piece. So even though Ryan isn't pulling ahead with like an early game lead or aggression, he's not exactly falling behind because Dave's not catching up yet either. So this is it looks like a gentle turn, but in reality, it's a very back and forth sort of pendulum swing of the seesaw here. And I think what's going to be most interesting is how Dave can put forward an aggression going into his next turn.
These top 4 have been so unfortunate for Ryan here. But he's going to try to make it work. It's still a perfect guard, and it's still another heal trigger in the binds on. He does have another heal trigger in his hand, and another Uluru.
I think Ryan is through all his heals at this point. Maybe
I think there's
one.
one more left. Maybe.
No,
yeah.
because there's the one in hand, remember, and the grade 3 heal that he also added with the first Interrunner. So yeah, Ryan is now out all of his heals. That is information that Dave is going to be very, very thoughtful about.
So it's gonna Soul Blast
Reinnovate
one.
Wing. Looking for the grade 2 here, I'm assuming. And
Oh, that's also not bad either.
yeah, I mean, cat is cat.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately he whiffs. Man, Dave is real good at whiffing cats here.
I think Dave is making a point that Tirana's not a +3. I think he's trying to.
He's saying cat doesn't need to be restricted.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is still a decent combo. Like, we know that Dave has the grade 0 in rotation. He's got the 1. He's got double Nabu. The question is, what can he turn his that grade 4 into?
I think he just want to call over the grade 4 to get it in the drop zone, so he can potentially use it with the heal trigger in his hand.
Yeah, I think that's definitely reasonable.
Let's see if we can go to Elul here. Elul could go into a Nabu for later. Draw him some cards if he needs to. He's still missing one of the pieces to continue his combo chain. He's literally just missing that grade 2. And then he's good to go for the rest of the game here.
Again, like, given that you've only seen one Alal out of the deck in damage, do you risk the Enterana here to try and find it?
I think you do. I honestly think you do, yes. You could risk the Enterana, or you can risk Nabu here.
Because like neither player has gone for full combo yet. So maybe whoever gets the full combo first can pull the lead. Like, obviously, whether or not Ryan has the rewrite is probably going to be the biggest factor, I think, right now. But we'll see what Dave can do with his pieces. So there's the Nabu instead.
Yep.
Not going to go for the Enterana.
It secures him a soul and secures him a draw. And I think that's probably what he values more. And it's also a guard restrict as well. So if he hits a crit, it forces the opponent to commit more cards from his hand to guard with.
And the difference here now with the Vanguard swing, the difference in the big deciding factor between this particular angle is who has more PGs. And we see that Dave's already burned 2 of them. Meanwhile, we know that Ryan still has at least 1 in hand. So he's going to drop it straight away.
Yeah, he's a 2 damage. He already sees it as well, that a crit could kind of put him in a very bad spot. And
Dave hits it. All onto the Nabu, and
the grade 2 he needed.
But can he get it out of hand though? I don't know if he can.
Not this turn.
Not this turn. Definitely not this turn. But it secures him combo for next turn. That's for sure.
So 30k Nabu coming in, and Ryan is going to go with the third heal.
He's thinking about it.
He's going to use the crit and intercept instead. I think he wants to hold on to that heal so that he can use his Uluru grade 4s. And finally, 16 coming in for this Illul. Not a huge number. Ryan just guards with the heal guardian.
Right?
Oh, right, because of the cat getting in bind, yeah.
So
but now, Counterblast 1. I assume going into the Enterana here, or a Nabu.
I think Enterana, because now he can also go into grade 3 with the lose skill.
Right, yeah.
So he has 1 extra attack. And if he's lucky, he might hit the grade 3 off of this skill.
Ryan damages an LL, so there goes down goes the chance of rewriting.
But
grade 2 in the bind, that's perfect.
But
so Dave now has full combo.
He doesn't have
Reinnovate just poking in. Yeah. But the problem is, Reinnovate on the rear guard. I think Dave still has 1 soul left. So Ryan has to give him damage at some point. And if he doesn't, Dave is just going to go, okay, well, I have Uluru. What are you going to do about it?
But now it's going to be dangerous because we know Ryan is going to rewrite here. And now he has access to 2 force markers. Dave's hand, it looks quite sizable. I think he has like 7, 8 cards in hand.
I think it's 8 or 9, yeah. But he's on 2 damage. Yeah, Ryan has like at least what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks this turn, assuming full combo. And 6 attacks is not the end of the world, but Dave wants some damage, but not too much damage. And I think like knowing how to tread that fine line, I think is a big difference in like player skill. So we'll see how Dave navigates this. Got some early swings. I think what is worth highlighting is that Ryan's damage bind zone is not as big as Dave's. So even though Ryan does have full combo, does have the second force marker, Dave will scale. Oh, Dave also damages a grade 3.
That's the
also
second one.
reduces- Yeah, that reduces his chance of rewriting significantly. Ryan then coming straight in with the Vanguard.
He could Ururu here, but that is a large middle column. But so he'll just
Yeah.
opt for PGing.
That's his third PG, though. Bear in mind, it's important to keep track of these things. Because now it knows that Dave is unlikely to win the game next turn, but it's also unlikely that he can survive Ryan's oncoming onslaught. Ryan finds another PG, which is exactly what he needs. And it's starting. I feel like the game is starting to slip away from Dave's grasp here.
Yeah, we're essentially seeing what Dave was doing last round, but now Ryan is doing it against Dave. It's a very similar playstyle what's happening here.
I mean, if Dave has the fourth copy of LL for the rewrite, it would put him in a really, really solid position. But that's asking for a lot, while also surviving this turn.
He's thinking about how much attacks he wants to eat here. He's contemplating his guard pattern. Because he could guard this for 30k shield, puts him on 43, which could slow down this one and go to 4. Difference between 4 and 5 is then next turn he can hopefully hope to hit a defensive. But it was actually an attack on his re-innovate wing.
Interesting. So maybe Ryan also knows about the keep your opponent at 3 damage and just starve your opponent of combo.
I think what's happened here is that Ryan realized I'm not going to kill Dave this turn. And if I'm going to attack into Renovate Wing as the last attack, Dave can guard for it. If I attack in Renovate Wing mid-combo, that might give Dave the signal I'm going to keep attacking into it. So just let it die so you save hand. Because if Renovate Wing stays on the board, Dave can use it, and not only will put 3 extra cards in the bind zone, which is plus 3k to the cats and plus 3k to Ulu at least, that also sets up potentially a better combo line for Dave. And Ryan wants to keep Dave off those options as much as possible. So I can definitely agree with attacking into Renovate Wing here.
Yeah. Does Dave have the rewrite? It doesn't look like it. I think he would have slammed it by now. So yeah, having the force market deficit is now definitely playing on the back foot. But we'll see if Dave can pull out like a random heal trigger and maybe go for full combo anyway. That might get him back into the game. But at the same time, what's worth mentioning is that Ryan going for not full combo here, but the Nabu plus the Enterana means that his hand is still pretty healthy. So I think even if Dave has even if Dave had the rewrite, I don't know if Dave was pushing for lethal here.
It's an option because it depends on how much he can extend and how good the quality is of Ryan's hand. Because we have seen a lot of triggers being disrupted last turn with the 4 cards on top of the deck being all triggers with Enterana. So some of them are away, but some also went in the hand. But he used them last turn against Dave's attacks as well. So Ryan might have a lot of cards in hand, but those might be just 5Ks and 10Ks as well.
Well, we do know for a fact it's over 45k shield because it's 2 critical triggers. I think it's 1. Yeah, 2 critical triggers. I think 2 heal triggers. 1 to 20k heals is Ururu and 15k.
All the heals.
Which is a heal trigger.
Ryan has used all the heals last turn. All of them are in the drop zone at this point.
All of them are in drop
Yeah.
zone. Oh, okay.
He's
okay.
all out
So
of
those are
heals.
gone.
I think he might have 1 grade 4 Uluru, but critically, we know that he has at least 1 PG, and I think he actually has 2.
I think 2. I think 2 because he hasn't used it last turn, the second one, and he just drove check another one.
Yep. Yeah, I think Dave really needed that re-innovate wing to pull ahead, but he is instead just going to go for the grade 1. So no Uluru combo. We'll see what he can do here. I think Dave's aggro is being really stunted.
Yeah, and I think Dave might go for a similar play to last turn. You see one side go into the boot, draw an extra card, then the left side goes into maybe the grade 2 and then extend from that because now you don't have to go in Enterana. You can immediately go to Alu. But
Well, no, because he doesn't have the counterblast. If he counterblast for both Illals, he has to go into Nabu and Tirana because he can't afford to go from Alil to Elil.
He can go the right side, use the counterblast, or use the Vanguard skill for free. Go into Nabu, that's then a 0 counterblast play. And then the left side for 1 counterblast, go into grade 2, and then the second counterblast, go into the grade 3. That's an option he has.
Yeah, we'll see how he does this. I still think going into the Entrana is probably the better line here because, again, like you say, you know that Ryan has 2 PGs in hand. You know you're probably not going for lethal this turn. And you know that you have to deal with the force marker deficit. You just need to survive to the point where you can get your second force marker and start playing the game again.
So it looks like he's going for the option that you mentioned before, Eric. So it's going to be Nabu here. It's going to be 20.
Not
It's gonna be a
attacking with the
small
Vanguard
amount.
first. Interesting. So he's choosing not to put triggers onto the Nabu for lethality. He just wants to filter, plus, and then maybe even go after Ryan's board. But Ryan intercepting there as well. Dealing with this 20k is not the end of the world. Going to 4 is also not the end of the world.
No defensive trigger here from Ryan. This makes a lot of his attacks coming in a whole lot more safe now. It's going to be swinging in with Van.
So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 9 cards in bind zone for Dave.
So it's plus 27 to the Vanguard? Or maybe
Yep.
one or more. Yeah, and another 9k to the back row. So that's plus 36 on the column.
So yeah, like I said, Dave's bind zone is a little bit healthier than Ryan. So if he's forcing those PGs out of Ryan's hand, crit is huge coming down to the Alol. And it's going to be able to give shield so that Dave can try to guard the incoming Nabu. But again, Ryan should still be able to guard all of these. So I think Dave's going to be encouraged to counterblast 1 into the Enterana here. And then after using Enterana to dig for pieces,
I'm gonna make a suggestion, or I'm gonna try to predict here what Dave's gonna do, because there's another option Dave might do. He might not use a loose skill. He might use the Vanguard skill, get a free time leap, go into a grade 2 that draws him a card, Enterana or Nabu, and then stop. Keep the counterblast open, because he has only 1 extra damage. But apparently Dave is not going to go for it. He's going to go for it. He's going to go for it, use all the CB he can to just pressure as much this turn as possible to hopefully get Ryan at 5 damage and try to close the game next turn. But with 4 close damage, only 1 potential CB next turn, but
Ryan only has 4 cards in hand. Dave's managed to whittle his hand down quite a lot, and we know that there probably still is 1 more PG in Ryan's hand. So maybe Dave, knowing that there's a few cards left, he's maybe seeing red, and just going to be maybe I can go for it. Maybe I can actually do something. He's actually, going to go, instead of going for Enterana for the plus, he's going to go for Alol for the numbers and just force Ryan to 5 damage, which is going to also bind the Uluru, which...
Plus 12. It's plus 12, though.
It is, but it's also very risky. He's saying that, okay, I'm going to put all my eggs into this basket this turn, and I just need to bank on the last 6 damage heal coming out during your turn. Ryan's going to take this as well, and then using the free leap to go into the Reinnovate Wing. Not having the grade 3 Elo floating around is really putting a cap on his aggression here, and Ryan can easily guard this with the last PG. And Ryan starts turn with 2 cards in hand, which isn't a lot, but again, the force market deficit I think is going to be a big factor.
And right now he can just choose to bind from drop zone. So he has all of his pieces to go off right now anyway, right? So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he can literally do what he wants at this point. Although interesting enough, he did discard the grade 1 for the perfect card for the last attack.
Mm-hmm.
He has 4 open CB. If he has that in hand, he could call it down and just go for 7 or 8 plus attacks essentially this turn. So that tells me he probably has another copy in his hand, or Ryan has a different game plan in mind that will secure him the game right on this spot. Because that's a deadly combo with 4 open CB.
Yeah, it would be 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3 plus Vanguard, which is 8 attacks total with the double force markers.
Reinnovate Wing here.
Ooh, using up all of his soul just to build up that bind zone and just say, I've seen you burn a lot of PGs. My Vanguard column is now unguardable. I will crit for game. Finds a grade 4 and a draw PG. Draw PG does boost. It's not as good a booster of a cat, but it's at this point, the Vanguard column is big enough now that it doesn't really matter.
Interesting enough, he decides to call down the grade 3. Oh, yeah, okay, he had another copy in hand. Okay, I know, yeah, this is going to be dangerous. He just used Renovate Wing just purely to pump up the numbers. It's a plus 9k to some of the columns, which I can
doesn't even need to go into the grade 0 Uluru because he has all the damage face up in the world. He can now use the free time leap on Elul to go from 3 to 4 and push slightly better numbers.
And one thing to note for Dave too as well, he just used grade 0 Ururu here because he probably drew into it off of Naboo. So his chances of hitting a defensive heal trigger here has been reduced by a whole lot. He's going to
I
take
think
the
Dave's out of
Vanguard here.
heals, and this crit is going to be lethal. I don't think Dave has any more heals left.
Yeah, he does
Damn,
not.
Double Uru. That is game. Ryan M takes it there, going first. Double force marker, gets the reride. Dave missing the reride. And unfortunately, that is going to be the end of the tournament. Dave getting second place. Your BRO EU champion is going to be Ryan M playing Steam Maiden.
Congratulations, Ryan. Well done.
Absolutely. You know, we are a little bit disappointed that our friend Dave couldn't get his place out of Chronojet, but still, really masterful gameplay from both sides of the table. Ryan there knowing exactly how to capitalize on that damage, being like, okay, look, I'm not going to win this turn. I know how good you are. I know that you're going to do this, and I'm going to play around it and force you into this line of play, which is advantageous for me.
Exactly. And is what we have also talked about as well during most of the games, is that if you tend to have a game plan of you have to have it and you don't have it, yeah, it's devastating. You stumble once into a very particularly good deck, it's going to be very difficult to come back from a deficit like that.
Yeah, these decks are built to punish those situations. Like, oh, you don't have the exact out to my situation? Okay, let me just start unloading on you and not give you any room of pause to potentially catch your breath. And that's what these high octane decks can do. That can just unleash attack after attack after attack while also farming for more advantage as well while they're doing it. It's crazy to see these decks perform at this level as they do, and it showcases the power potential of these cards as well.
Yeah, you know, like you say, like once one person slows down, the other person is not going to slow down. And at that point, you pull forward, you build a lead, and it basically becomes almost insurmountable without like some really, really amazing trigger luck. And I just want to highlight there, my other half of Yellow Card TCG, Tony, he often says that Enterana is almost effectively a creator card. And while he's part right, I think also what you see there is that it's not just the Enterana, it's the combination of Nabu, the synergy of like the grade 3 LO, the ability to like go adjust your game plan as you need to like either plus, put the aggro on, control your opponent's board, control your opponent's damage. Like everything coming together is what makes Steam Maiden such a powerful deck.
Yeah, I could have said it better myself, Ben. It's literally word for word that, honestly. Yep. It's make the deck so dangerous to try to dissect how you can defeat it, as there are so many different aspects of the deck that makes the deck so strong in every regard.
Yep, and I think here the third and fourth place match also just wrapped up, so I believe we have the standings, or the final standings, ready for you to show on stream in just a moment. Just confirming that with production. Not okay. So yeah, so third, fourth isn't on the graph yet, but we can see here Ryan is your champion. Commiserations to second place, Dave Vecht, and then third and fourth place was. Let me have a look. So we have Mark Guan actually taking the third place trophy. So WCC does indeed add another top to their trophy cabinet. So Mark Guan in third place and Go JH in fourth. So well done to all these players for getting this far in the tournament. Commiserations to everyone for taking part. But again, thank you for everyone for joining us in this tournament, taking part, enjoying and playing this game of Vanguard with us. This isn't quite the end of the stream yet. We will be interviewing our champion player, Ryan, in just a few moments. So come back after we set up. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Cardfight Vanguard. Something is trying to cross over to this side. Chrono Drag, huh? How did it get here? Chronojet Dragon? Are G units back too? Special Series Stride deck set Chronojet. Bushiroad.
Cardfight Vanguard. The Glitters have obtained great strength in response to each of their feelings. These heroes are back too. Booster Pack, Minerva Rising. Bushiroad.
Weiss Schwarz. A romantic battle of the brains unfolds again on the stage of Weiss Schwarz. Booster Pack, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Now on sale. Bushiroad.
Hi, Honda.
Hi, Julius.
Thank you so much for taking out some time out of your busy schedule to join me in this Coffee with Bushiroad series.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, could you tell me a bit about the work you do in Bushiroad?
Well, I do sales and logistics, but I'm mainly on the logistics side.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a lot more questions regarding that because I think your work is mainly a lot of people don't see or don't understand what goes on behind the scenes in what makes the games possible.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of logistics and transportation involved. But before that, we're going to dig right into our pastries and coffee and tea. What would you like?
Coffee, please.
Coffee? Coffee for you? Okay,
Sure.
cool. Okay, you can smell this. It smells good.
Wow,
Yeah, this smell really wakes you up. Yeah.
fragrant. Yeah.
Go ahead and help yourself to whichever one that you like.
All right. Which one we like?
No, you go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll pick whatever that's remaining.
All right, so I'll go for this.
I'm a good host.
One.
So Honda, I understand that even before you joined Bushiroad, to work for Bushiroad, I think you played a lot of Bushiroad card games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What games
Yeah.
do you play?
I play mainly Weiss Schwarz, Vanguard, and a little bit of Buddy Fight.
Oh,
yeah.
so you actually play our three main titles.
Yeah.
Oh, when did you start playing?
For Vice, I started playing, I think, somewhere around 2008, 2009 kind of time when it first started out in Japan. Yeah.
Wow, that's like almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And then for Vanguard?
Vanguard, I think, I also started when it first came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So you actually played Vice first.
Yeah.
How do you get to know Weiss Schwarz?
So there was kind of like a community get together to learn the game. Like they brought some Vice products from Japan, so they brought it over to Singapore, and they actually promoted the event, like come down to learn, and they actually sell some of the stuff they got in Japan. So yeah, that's how I got wine of Vice, and I started learning, and I liked the game.
Which Weiss Schwarz titles are you currently enjoying?
I'm really enjoying the Fujimi Fantasia set right now, especially the deck with 8 standbys. It's very interesting. And also, I really like playing Goblin Slayer, especially the Goblin Slayer deck. The overall card advantage and the abilities is very flavorful. It has made a huge impact in the game itself, and soon English player can get their hands on the series. It's coming out in English. Yeah, for Goblin Slayer.
Wow, I think players can really look forward to that. Yeah. Do you still remember your very first deck? What title was it?
It was Fate Stain Night Crow deck.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so long ago. Yeah.
And ever since then, you just continued
Yeah.
playing the game. And now, right now, you are actually working for Bushiroad.
Yeah.
Wow, this is kind of like, it's coming to a full circle.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Vanguard clan?
My favorite clan would be Dark Irregulars.
Oh.
I love the overall theme of the deck, artwork, card abilities. Like soul charging, it thins your deck.
Okay, everyone, welcome back. We are here with Ryan, your champion for BRO V Premium EU. Once again, congratulations on your victory. Well done, well played. I think the first important question everyone is always going to ask is, how are you feeling right now? Obviously over the moon, but tell us a bit more about your mental state and from this morning to now.
All right, so this morning I was actually pretty anxious because I saw the brackets. I'm like, wait, if I make it to finals, I have to fight Musrex. And he won Worlds. So I'm like, oh, please just let things go my way. I'm still shook. I still won. But yeah, I'm still shook. I don't know what to say.
And what made you decide on picking up Steam Mails, by the way? Because you went to an event before and you ended up doing pretty well with it. But what made you decide picking it up ultimately? What was it, the casting decision?
Obviously, Steam Maiden is best deck. Going first is crazy. I about to enter with either Grunge or Chaos Messiah, but then it's like, I mean, Steam Maiden still has more outs, and it's 7 rounds, so might as well just go with the safer option, and objectively the better option.
Okay, I think it's time for me to hijack this interview a little bit. We have a Game Chronicle winner here, so I need to ask a very specific question about this one. So we know Steam Maiden is the best deck in format, you just pointed it out as well. But at the same time, we discussed this throughout the weekend, that Steam Maiden does have a lot of options to run certain tech engines or different ratios and whatnot. And Yum is something what I would describe as Steam Maiden's cookie cutter build or just good stuff Steam Maidens. Is there a reason why you play this variant and not to choose certain engine pieces? What's your thought process about that to coming to this particular list?
So the thing is, me and my friend Sean, we were debating on whether to use 2 Lost Stage, 2 Nabu, or Kurinta, or just like go full Nabu. For me, I felt like there are some games where I need Nabu to set up Bind Zone, Soul, and just farm hand cards. So I just wanted to use 4, to just guarantee the draw. And yeah, it actually helped. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we definitely saw that in your finals game where you having the going first, having that extra force marker, even though you were not playing as aggressively, you weren't going full combo every turn, you were still generating loads of cards thanks to the Entron and Nabu engine. That helped you find those PGs to survive and just push that little bit of edge over Dave. So yeah, I think that just shows to show that it's not just the deck and how you build it, it's also knowing how to use those pieces and knowing how to play. And again, we see there on your screen we have the top 8 mat from BCS season V Premium last year. Like JJ mentioned, you made top 8 at BCS Manila, so you're definitely no strangers to the top table. But speaking of throughout your entire Vanguard career, like leading up to BRO, what would you say has been some highlights, or what would you like, anyone you want to shout out, like anything you want to bring up about your Vanguard career so far?
Ooh, okay, so I'd say the peak was kind of my first top 8. That was in 2019. I played Messiah because I'm actually a Messiah main. Don't ask me why I'm playing this over Messiah.
Don't worry, I understand. I understand.
But yeah, I was pretty ecstatic when I got top 8. That was my first top. Sadly, I lost in the first round, but it's still good.
Yep, and again, you finally have your big trophy win here.
Yeah, it's our first place.
And talking about like your community and talking about the people around you, about shouting out and stuff like that, who has been some of the rocks behind your testing buddies, your play area, your locals? Who have been those people who've been always able to support you?
All right, first shout out most of all to Anthony Chanchua. He actually won the AO region first place. Just every night we would play, we would test going first, going second, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And I can actually say that helped. Next, shout out to Tyndale. This is actually his deck. I'm just borrowing it. So thanks for letting me use it.
True homie, true homie.
And then next, shout out to the Cebu fam. I did it.
You heard it here, folks. He did.
And then lastly, it's not really Vanguard related, but shout out to Dole. He's someone close to me from the US. Right there, it's 3 a.m. and he heard I was stopping, so he's actually watching the stream right now.
Oh, hey. There you go. All right.
And most of all, shout out to God. I prayed so hard about this. I know I wouldn't be able to go first in all my top 8 matches if it weren't for him. And just get everything.
All right, there you go. The words of a champion, humble as well. So I guess to wrap it up and move on, what's next? Now that you've won EUV Premium, can we expect to see a BSF, PCS? What are your plans going forward?
For BSF, I'm trying to go abroad because the timing for the Philippines is pretty bad here because of school and stuff. And then I'm also trying to actually qualify for Worlds for once because I haven't tried yet. And that's an experience. So yeah, that's always the goal.
Hungry for the wins, hungry for the dubs. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. Is there any last words, any final statements that you want to give to the aspiring card fighters around the world?
I don't think I have anything.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right then. Well, there you go. So there's your Ryan Manonquill, your V Premium EU champion. Congratulations once more. I'm sure you'll enjoy those playsets of Chrono Jet, and as you say, hopefully we'll see you at Worlds next year. But best of luck in your upcoming tournaments. Thank you very much. So we'll come back to the three of us as we round out the day. Gentlemen, it has been a little over 24 hours, 26 hours total since we started the tournament yesterday. We had some ups and downs, some interesting decks, and then some expected decks, some interesting results, and some expected results. I think we can all agree that this has definitely been one of the more exciting BRO events we've worked on, especially considering coming into it. Everyone was like, oh, it's V Premium. There's no change to the ban list since Worlds. Everyone's been playing Steam Maidens. And yet we were out here showing off things like Chaos Messiah mirrors, Leopold, even Nova Grappler, Ethics Buster. It's, even though V Premium is one of those formats where people say oh, the lines of play are stale, your combo is always the same. I maintain that getting to your combos, knowing, okay, for me to do this combo that I know off by heart, I need X, Y, and Z, and I don't have X, Y, and Z. I need to do this to get this card. I need to do that to get that card. This combo is good when opponents on low damage. This combo is good when opponents on high damage. Those are almost the fundamentals of card games, and it's just a completely different test of skill to say premium or standard. And I think you guys will agree with me that that has exactly been what we've seen throughout these last few days.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. V-Prim is in such a weird position in contrast to the other formats, as to some players might say it's just a light version of Premium or it's a more complicated version of Standard, but it's more than that. There's so much more going on that makes Free Premium to a unique format, and I'm looking forward to seeing this evolve. We might get a new restriction list, changing the top decks, but we might get new product in the future as well, which might arise to complete new strategies that just disrupt everything. So it's a very unique concept on that part, and it's something that's the reason why I will always keep this format as very fun and dear to me, as it's also been the format that I've also start doing content and doing everything and putting myself out there. So it's always something special to me.
Aww. All the sentimentality kind of just eked out all I wanted to say about it. I wanted to be a Debbie Downer, darn. No, I'm joking. I completely agree. I am a old head myself, been playing since the beginning, as of most of you guys, and it's been a wild ride to see the evolution of a game go through many facets. You can know your decks by heart, but sometimes you're going to always learn something new and interesting every single game about yourself, about your player, about your win condition. It's always a great time playing Vanguard against each other. It's always great.
Man, that last sentence, I couldn't have said it better myself, JJ. Like I keep saying, card games, it's all about the social. Sure, you enjoy the tournament wins, you enjoy the trophies, the prizes. But one thing I particularly like about BRO, something that doesn't quite replicate the in-person experience, but jumping on a call, like Discord call with your friends or a group chat at the end of each round and being like, oh yeah, I sacked my opponent, or oh, my opponent double crit me, or I got full combo. I played against this weird deck that no one knew existed. Stuff like that is just what brings us all together, and we bond over the love of the game and our shared experiences. And yeah, as always, I think I said it in the previous BROs, and I'll say it again. At the end of the day, the moral of the story is Vanguard good, play Vanguard.
I want to piggyback on that just one moment before we end this stream, as we're nearing the end of everything, essentially. Because it's such a social aspect, and it's all about in-phase tournaments like on BRO, but also at other regionals. Before I want to wrap it up by a question to you guys. As soon as this is the start of the season of Vanguard, we're having a lot of different events moving forward. And what events are you guys participating in, where we can see each other and see other players? I'm personally looking forward to Springfest, especially in Germany, in England, and a couple of more in Europe places. And of course, BRO Premium and Standard. I'm going to hopefully participate this time myself as well to some extent, maybe with the NA bracket as well. And of course, the Championship Series. Dave has gone to Worlds. I need to catch up to the guy. I need to go to Worlds as well and to try to put myself on the stage. But that's my journey coming up this year. What you guys are gonna try to aim this year?
I'm a wandering car fighter, so I tend to just like traveling to places and just enjoying a good game. Aspirations of making tops and stuff like that is sort of is not my thing, but I just like being able to play the game and just having fun and meeting people who are strong. That's all I care about, really. And there's going to be a cool tournament hosted by somebody close to us relatively soon, and that's going to be a good set of games. And then also coming up later, a couple of months from now, there's also going to be standard format. We'll be seeing cards like these and cards like these soon, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So that's my own sentiment on it. Good. Vanguard, good. Yes.
There
Vanguard,
you go. Spoken like by a man who truly loves the game. I don't know if I can fully mention the thing I've got coming up next week. I don't want to step on Bushiroad's toes here, but all I'll say is if anyone's in Europe and interested, my Twitter's down there. Check out the social media. I will be announcing. We've got some announcements coming up in the next few days. But yeah, as for me, Springfest season is going to be a bit slower for me. I've got some other stuff that I'm working on, so people in Europe won't be seeing me judge all the events that I'm used to doing. I might turn up to London anyway. We'll see, but definitely like the upcoming BROs, I'm really excited about. We've got the Messiah deck set coming up later this year. That even though it might not be the best deck in the game, I'm definitely going to try and play it as much as I can. So BRO standard, maybe 1 or 2 BCSs here and there. We'll see. And yeah, like I said, premium BCS is coming up soon as well. Also going to be on the cards. But yeah, again, even if it's just locals, even if it's just like meeting up with your friends, just like play Vanguard, like in a cafe on a Saturday afternoon, playing the game is what brings us together. And as long as you enjoy the game, that's what truly matters. So regardless if it's BRO, BSF, BCS, what have you, thank you to everyone for playing this game with us. Thank you, of course, to Bushiroad and ENTCG for running this event, running this stream, letting us share this Vanguard with everyone at home. Everyone coming in from all over online. I think there's really not a lot to say other than thank you. We're glad to enjoy this with you and take part and be part of this community. And yeah, until next time, we hope to see you all very, very soon. Thank you from myself, Ben, Zistral, JJ, and Eric. We have brought you Bushiroad Rumble Online V Premium Europe, and we hope to see you very, very soon. Have a lovely rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.